Hello and welcome to For the Love of Nature, a podcast where we tell you everything you need to know about nature and probably more than you wanted to know. I'm Laura.
And I'm Katy, and today we're going to be talking about another episode of cryptozoology.
Yeah. You know, those animals that some claim are real, others claim are not. Jury's still out on some things.
I mean, listen, once again, I know I keep bringing this up, but over COVID, the U.S. government announced that UFOs are real. I did mine.
I'm never letting anyone forget this.
I'm never going to, because I still, to this day, will bring that up. And there's always somebody in the room that'll go, what? I'm like, here we go. Lesson learned. And the people who are like really close, like work colleagues and stuff, who have heard my spiel every single time, they just laugh because they know what's coming. But if the government admits that there's UFOs that cannot be of like any known human technology, something's got to be flying it. And then the other one I did was Bigfoot, hide and go seek champion.
Yeah, your Bigfoot stories the last time were giving me the heebie-jeebies. I still think about it every once in a while, and it just gives me the shivers.
There are some really creepy.
And the one was like leaning against a tree watching her.
Yes.
Heck no, move that very day.
Yeah, I would too. Because you could like, you just feel like you're being watched, and then you look up. Because that's always, anytime you're outside, you know what I mean? Like, that's always your back of the mind fear.
Well, and for sure the back of the mind fear, but like the woods is like my happy place. It would no longer be my happy place.
No.
If I thought somebody was out there watching me all the time.
Terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be done. I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
All right, so before we jump into that, did you have nature news?
Yeah, I was just going to bring up something real quick. This article is titled, Good News Found After Analysis of Wolf Discovered in New York. So this is just published, but a wolf was killed in December of 2021 in Cherry Valley, which was in Otsego County, New York. And although that was a while ago, for over a year, they thought it was a coyote that had been killed, but I guess they were doing some DNA stuff with it. And so it's actually given some insight into, potential wolf populations in New York State. And doing some different, like, DNA stuff, they can actually tell what an animal was eating prior, which is just, pretty crazy cool.
Yeah.
So they don't, from what they could find, the wolf had not been feeding on any, like, domesticated livestock, which is good news. So, like,
yeah, very
even
good
if they
news.
are moving into the state, not to worry.
Yeah.
And that it had never been domesticated at any point in its life because it hadn't ever eaten that kind of stuff. So it was a truly wild wolf.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so there are a lot of areas in the United States now where wolves are actually starting to move south. They're expanding their territories, they're adapting more, and they're interbreeding with coyotes. So, coy wolves is a term that more and more people are hearing about. So we don't have to be afraid of large predators.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to be aware if they're around. But yeah, kind of a cool thing that, wow, what if wolves really come back to New York State? And then that's just a hop, a skip, and a jump from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, no, it really is. That's kind of like the talk down here is still there have been more and more, because jaguars in Texas used to be native here, not so much anymore, but there's still always folks that are going to say, oh, hey, I've spotted that. Get it? So that, it's the big cats. So we have
ocelots.
Yeah, ocelots here.
Which are spotted.
Yeah, which are spotted. So no, so freaking small. And then there are the jaguarundis that I don't.
But they don't look anything. They almost look more like an otter, like
kind
like
of
a cat otter.
Yeah, definitely not the same. I don't even know how to.
They're a cat.
A cat otter. A cat otter, I guess. Like just a weird creature. But yeah, so there's always like reports of people saying that there's jaguars. I don't think.
But that's like in Pennsylvania too, constantly. I can't tell you the amount of people that have told me that they have seen, heard, or know someone that has seen or heard a mountain lion.
Oh, yeah. I think I've told this story before about the one time I was running in western Pennsylvania, like on our property, and I found a bobcat. Yeah, that I was running around, and I was just running laps because I used to play soccer, and so we had 7 acres, and so I was running around the yard. When I say yard, it's 7 acres, so a little bit bigger. And one of our smallest dog, who was just a sass pot and a half, Daisy, she was barking at something in the weeds, and I figured it was a neighbor's cat or whatever. And so it was her and then our black lab at the time. And they were just barking. I went over, pulled him back, pulled the high grass apart, and it was just a bobcat sitting there and just panting. Scared the bejeebers. Oh, yeah, it was clearly terrified, but scared the bejeebers out of me.
Oh, I'm sure.
I ran back so fast. I mean, thankfully, Daisy's 26 pounds. And so, so she was tiny. So I could just swoop her up and run with her over my shoulder kind of thing. The black lab, he was a good protective dog, but still a black lab. So he's just like, okay, I'm coming I'm coming with you too kind of thing. But yeah, so bobcats I would see a lot, but... yeah, jaguars down here, that would be kind of crazy. I think the last time one was officially spotted in Texas, I want to say was like the 40s or 50s, like the last official one.
Yeah. Mountain lions, I know there are.
Oh, yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if you had mountain lions.
Yeah, no, we definitely have mountain lions. And there's
in Central America and Mexico and stuff.
Yeah, and like down by Big Bend National Park and everything. I mean, there's just nothing... out there in that habitat. Just crazy. Alrighty. So do you want to talk about, things that...
cryptids?
Yeah, some things that also have reports, but...
may or may not be really there.
Yeah, let me think here.
You got a good segue? Otherwise, I'll go.
No, you can. Both of mine, one I've never heard of before, which I always love coming across stuff I've never heard of.
I have one that I know well and one that I've never heard of.
Yeah, the one I've never heard of, and then the one I have heard of, but I didn't realize the origins of where it came from. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. Yeah, but you can go ahead and go first if you want.
Well, I was going to say, because we were just talking about Bigfoot, I would like to talk about the Chichinya.
Ooh.
Which is very similar. And I had never heard of it before, but I was like, oh, what's this? And then looked more into it and was like, ooh. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much the Siberian version of Bigfoot with some key differences. So it is described as human-like with broad shoulders, a large protruding brow, long matted hair, no neck, and occasionally bearing unusually colored body hair or fur.
I always have to describe them like so ugly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
poor
Bigfoot. Like, but the big difference between them and Bigfoot is that they are often reported as wearing animal skins, making them more human than Bigfoot. So, like, they wear like, reindeer hides. And Bigfoot never wears clothes.
Just out there free balling.
We're in Siberia, so, like...
yeah. Can't blame them.
It's cold.
Yeah.
They're also called mulin, meaning bandits, because they have been known to, or it's been said that they do midnight raids on barns and dwellings.
I mean, if there's going to be anything that would live someplace that we would have no clue, it would be Siberia. Yeah. Just a vast land of nothing.
Yeah. And another difference between it and Bigfoot, although I didn't find much information about this, just in passing, just as a little sprinkle of that. Yeah, and sometimes
how do you spell it?
Flesh.
Ew.
That's us. So possibly, it's spelled different ways. So you can do CHUNAA, or YA, or the mulin, which is MULEN, still the same thing. So
yeah, it just looks like the drawing depictions just look like almost like a huge Neanderthal.
Right, exactly. Yes. So, but the one picture that I saw was just totally a Neanderthal, but this one they are saying is covered in hair. So it's like a really hairy, big, giant person. Usually it's described as like 7 feet tall.
Okay.
The reports are coming from rural, boy, that's a hard word. Rural Siberia, which is such a funny concept.
Yeah, because isn't all of Siberia?
So like, yes. Listeners, if anyone's from Siberia, I'm sorry, but I picture it as there just being nothing there. Most accounts are coming from the northeast, although there is the occasional southeast one, and they are possibly living in the mountains or on the tundra in that area. Typically, the reports are coming from native Siberians, such as and guys, I'm sorry again, it's probably the Yakuts or the Tungus peoples, sometimes other rural people, but those are the main ones, is the native peoples that are reporting this. And these reports are hundreds of years old, with native people's stories going back even longer, like possibly thousands of years. So let's get into some of these reports. These reports were taken seriously. I mean, like I said, it's been going on for hundreds of years. But things really started being taken seriously in 1928 when the Soviet Union sent out search parties because they were like,
geez.
all right, like, let's
get this. Yeah.
Yeah. There was actually a formal report made on the Chichunya that was presented to the Commission for the Discovery and Study of Antiquarian Curiosities, attached to the Western Siberian section of the Russian Geographical Society. So, lots of stuff there, but there was an official report made. And the report recommended that detailed investigations and systematic studies occur before the Chichunya became extinct. So, they believed it was there. It just, like, something had to be done, it was going to go away. And so in 1933, there was a professor that called upon the government to abolish the hunting of these people on the grounds that all people of the USSR deserved equal protection, but little was done about it. So apparently they were being hunted if they were there.
Yeah.
Various scientists...
Yeah, because then, like... All right, so then you have to ask the question, like, how far did this go? Okay, let's just say if it was a myth. Were there that many people willing to be like, yeah, I hunted one and I got it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there's been a number of scientists who've been like, yep. So in 1970s, one of the geologists, so these surveys actually went on for a long time through the Geographical Society. Like, they were doing other things, but I guess while they're out there, they were also seeing it.
I mean, while we're out here, let's just log this, big creature.
So in 1970s, a geologist out there was hearing lots of local tales, but concluded that the Chichunya must be dying out. Like, if it was probably gone by 1970. But in 1985, there was a British anthropologist who claimed to have seen one with her own eyes. That in particular Chichunya was dubbed Micheni, aka the marked one, because he had a white patch on his forearm, and so that's what the locals called him. And she said she saw him. A newspaper reported on a story that in 1957, hunters killed a Chichunya and brought back its body, but that body disappeared when they brought it back to town.
Of course it did.
Yeah. In 2001 and 2002, reports of strange ape-like creatures were found in traps. One was the size of a large dog, covered in hair except for face and feet, and had a tail. And then there are several versions about what happened to that body. Again, gone, but for many different reasons, possibly. Also, only the size of a large dog, then it must have been a kid. Like,
yeah, right? Yeah.
Ooh. And then the other actually had golden-colored fur, and that guy found it in the wilderness and left it there.
Which, I mean, they say, just like any animal, there's, color variations, but I know with Bigfoot,
yeah.
There's all sorts of color variations, so...
Yeah. Well, right, and I guess if it was very humanoid, it could have different colored hair, just like we do.
Yeah.
There were tales of a strange being wandering the remote forests of Tunguska near the scenes of devastation. Okay, so I was like, what does that mean? Scenes of devastation, what does that mean? Katie, I've never heard about this.
No.
So the Tunguska blast happened in 1908 when a 12 megaton explosion, okay, just, that's giant.
Yeah.
12 megaton explosion flattened 830 square miles of forest, possibly killing 3 people. And
maybe.
Right. Well, I guess because who knows who was living out there.
Exactly. Like, they don't even know.
And also that in 830 square miles, there might have only been 3 people.
Yeah, right.
But if you look at these pictures, it looks like an atomic bomb went off there. And so what scientists think happened, though, this was in 1908, was likely an atmospheric explosion when a 160 to 200 foot asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere and exploded in the atmosphere. So there's no impact crater. But it is the only asteroid that we know of in human life, like in our lifetime. Like,
I think I have heard about this. Yeah, because of that. Like, that's the only thing
This is the only time. This is that. While humans have been around.
Yeah, I think that's
history.
I think that's the only thing that I know. Like, that triggers something. That also, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it.
If an asteroid was going to hit the planet, that it decided to hit Siberia, and not like India or
Yeah,
but
goodness.
No impact crater. So.
Weird.
It's a weird place, okay?
Yeah.
So then back to the Chichunya. So there are tales of a strange being who wanders that devastated area. The nomadic reindeer herdsmen of Siberia have reported sighting a gigantic gray humanoid figure about 50 miles north of that river. They saw a man who seemed to be over 8 feet in height picking berries and drinking water from a stream. And
He's just living his good life out there. Like, just leave him alone. Just minding his business.
Mongol herdsmen have also reported seeing them, and others who have supposedly investigated one of man's greatest mysteries, the Tunguska blast, have also claimed to have seen the Chichunya. So is there a connection? The world may never know.
Yeah.
So where is this coming from? Actually, unlike some of the other ones, I did the Chupacabra last time, and there was some very clear cut, like, where is this coming from?
Yes.
Mangy animals.
Mangy animals.
There really is no clear cut what this could be.
Well, because,
Possibly.
it's so isolated. Okay, listen.
Well, stories of hairy humanoid creatures are literally reported all over the world.
There are.
We've got Bigfoot.
Yes.
There's the Yeti. We've got this. So Chichunya, could it be really big hairy dudes, or could it have just been some guy out there wearing like a giant fur
Exactly.
coat?
That's what I was gonna say. It's so isolated. It literally could be like a man with giganticism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like it's hereditary. They just keep to themselves. They see people every once in a while, and they just decided to stay away. You know what I mean? Who knows?
The only other thing that some people have put forth, and I'm like, maybe they were possibly a remnant Paleo-Asiatic people. Or some people say Neanderthals. Although Neanderthals were believed to have went extinct 40,000 years ago and only ever reached heights of 5.5 feet.
Yeah, this is significantly taller.
But a Paleo-Asiatic people, like just some other
thing,
super primitive, we're not talking missing link here, but like
it's a different branch,
primitive humanoid. Maybe, because remember, we've talked about this in the podcast before, there were woolly mammoths still living in the Arctic Circle until 1650 BC, which is not actually that long.
No, it's not that long ago at all.
So if the woolly mammoth, and where their people are seeing this, we are in Siberia, is part of it is in the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
Like, where they're finding and seeing these people.
Yeah.
This is where they're finding, like, woolly mammoth carcasses and woolly rhino carcasses and things.
Yeah.
So maybe a primitive people could survive that long?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's so...
Probably, if they were...
It's so isolated.
It's true that they probably did die out.
Yeah.
In this century, because let's be real, people would have hunted them if they were like, this is
terrifying.
Yeah, terrifying.
Yeah.
And, everybody talks about that's where may or may not people have been crossing the Bering Strait and where all of our ancestors have come from. So maybe a primitive people? I don't know. Hopefully they're not actually eating flesh of people.
Jeez.
Again, definitely you're asking to be hunted to extinction in that case.
I was going to say, it just goes back to the fear. Like, humans are very much so fear-induced. Like, just, if it's scary, kill it.
Yeah.
When it comes to anything, like, of mystery. And so,
the anthropologist saying that she saw the one that they named is interesting.
Yeah, because...
And if it wasn't Chichunya, was it just a person with giganticism who was hairy, and they just kept that person?
Or they are like primitive, poor, peoples of the land. They don't have normal clothing.
Yeah.
They are hunting whatever's out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And more so than the Aboriginal people who live there right now. Like, the people who are reporting them are considered natives.
Yeah.
But, like, we're talking, like, primitive.
Primitive.
Possibly not even, like, language speaking.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like, if it were to happen, it would be in Siberia, because there's nothing.
They're in some deep jungle somewhere.
Yeah. Dang. Crazy.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, the first one that I'm going to do is this one I have never heard of, and it's the black shuck. No, I hadn't heard of it either.
SHUCK?
Yep. Like,
okay.
Yep.
Like shucking corn.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't want to show my Western Pennsylvania too much, but like shucking corn. So the black shuck is a ghostly black dog that is said to roam the coastline and countryside of East Anglia, England.
This is ringing a bell.
Yeah.
From stories that I've read, but I don't know if I knew it was called the black shuck.
No clue. So the origins and the legends are, again, kind of unclear, because kind of like the Chupacabra. They think it's like a black gangly dog. So there's tons of reasons of what it could be, but
right.
where it came
so
from.
What's making it not a normal dog?
Yeah. Well, so it does date back centuries and is very well known British folklore. The origins of the legend are unclear, but it is believed to have been passed through oral tradition. So again, just one story after another. Some believe that the name Shuck may have been derived from the Old English word Sukia, which means demon or devil. So
that's intense.
Yeah, so black devil. The location of where the legend come from is primarily the coastal regions of East Anglia, which includes the countries of Norfolk and Suffolk. The area has a long history of folklore and superstition, with tales of witches, ghosts, and other supernatural creatures dating back centuries. So this is already an area that does talk about legends and folklore and all kinds of stuff anyway. So it's just like, let's just add another one to the mix here.
Yeah.
So there are various versions of the Black Shuck legend, but most of them describe a large black dog that appears on dark, stormy nights, often accompanied by thunder and lightning. The dog is...
And this is on which side of Britain? You said it was the east... No, wait.
It's just coastal regions of East Anglia.
Okay.
Includes the counties of Norfolk and Suffolk.
No, Norfolk and Suffolk. Got it. Thank you. Keep going.
Yep. So let's see here. So it appears on stormy nights accompanied by thunder and lightning. The dog is said to have glowing red eyes and be the size of a calf or even larger. Some versions of the story describe the Black Shuck as a harbinger of death or a symbol of impending doom.
Yikes. This is, for all you Harry Potter fans out there, this is the Grim. It's a dog. It's like a black dog that says you're going to die.
Oh, I'm not a Harry Potter
but that's
nerd.
Definitely where this is like that.
Gotcha. That came from?
Her version of it. Yeah.
I mean, if it's a well-known British folklore, it would make sense.
Definitely.
So it's a symbol of death or impending doom. Others suggest that the creature is a protector, watching over the people of that area and warding off evil spirits. So you have some people that are like, nope, this is all bad. You have others that are like, nope, it's protecting us.
Opposite translations.
Yeah.
Or interpretations, I should say.
So as far as sightings go, there have been several first-hand accounts of seeing the creature. One of the most famous sightings occurred in 1577 in the town of Blythburgh in Suffolk. According to the account, a large black dog burst into the church during a thunderstorm and killed 2 people before just disappearing.
Dang.
So clearly it's not like a normal dog if it's just gonna bust into a church of all places.
At the very least, a rabid dog.
Yeah, but it bust into a church during a storm.
Well,
and
right,
just...
you'd definitely be thinking demon. You're like, this is Satan.
Yeah. Another notable sighting occurred in 1901 when a man walking home from a pub claimed to have been chased by a large black dog with glowing eyes. Which, again, let's just pause. A man walking alone home from a pub, and he said that he saw a large black dog with glowing eyes from a bar. And also
glowing eyes, like, as many of us animal people know, many animals experience the red eye effect or eye shine. When light is shined into their eyes, they glow.
But
so
also...
he saw if the light was coming... You know what I mean?
But the sobriety of the man is also questionable. I'm not judging him.
Even if he was stone cold sober.
Yeah, it could
have still seen glowing eyes.
And in 1901, he's not going to necessarily know that. Other accounts describe encounters with Black Shuck on deserted roads or in isolated fields.
Dude, I would literally poop my pants.
Right?
This right here, this is little Laura's nightmare, okay? Because growing up, my greatest fear was of black wolves for many reasons.
Interesting.
It started with Beauty and the Beast, and then the next thing, or if not Beauty and the Beast, then definitely The Never-Ending Story, because that terrified sonic wolf. Yes. Then there was a movie called Benji about a little dog. Oh, yeah. And there's a black wolf and that tried to eat him. So little Laura was like, black wolves are horrible. So for the next, 8 to 10 years, I would see that wolf in my basement, in the hallway at night, terrified. So, me, grown-up Laura, just having an experience with some, coal black dog on a back road. I would, first of all, never be on a back road alone by myself, but I would just
be
die
done.
of fear. Like, I would be dead. It would have pretended my death because I would have died of a heart attack.
Yeah, right? Well, besides you, there were numerous sightings and reports over the centuries. Again, there's no concrete evidence that the black shuck exists. Skeptics argue that sightings are simply the result of people's imaginations or the exaggeration of natural phenomena such as large dogs, and then like the thunderstorm.
Yeah, if you see a German Shepherd at night, it'd be freaking terrifying.
Yes,
And
or
they're
like
black, so a lot of them can be black.
Or like an Irish wolfhound, and who are huge. Yes.
Yeah.
So, however, those who believe that the legend of the black shuck, they do have some basis in reality here. So some historians have suggested that the legend may have been based on the presence of large black dogs owned by Vikings who settled in the area centuries ago. So they brought over like big, large, like protecting dogs.
Yeah.
That were black, and then they just either got away, whatever, had, feral dogs, whatever. Others have suggested that the legend may have been inspired by ancient Celtic legends of spectral dogs that roamed the countryside. So again, just more legends.
Yeah, this is very similar, and it reminds me of there's a Sherlock Holmes, the Hound of the Baskervilles.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's very much like that, too.
So in addition to these tales of sightings, the legend of Black Shuck has also inspired numerous works of art and literature over the years. The creature has appeared in everything from local folk songs to modern horror movies. In recent years, there's been renewed interest in the legends, with various groups organizing Black Shuck-themed events and tours in the area. So they're kind of like embracing it now.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, the Black Shuck is the well-known legend in the British folklore and has been passed down from centuries to centuries. And whether or not obviously some people are going to embrace it. Others are still going to be terrified of it. But there's still there's not as many sightings as what there once was. Yeah. So again, they were saying like that was more backing to the basis of the whole Vikings brought over huge dogs, that they've died out. So because they're like, we're just not seeing them all that much anymore. So,
or I was just looking up, this in particular animal, this is classic, like deep subconscious human fear.
Oh, it is
a predator in the night.
Something creepy. Yeah.
And although wolves, so the last wolf in England was killed in the 14th century.
Okay.
So that was a long time ago.
And that's a freaking island. But you're also on an island. Like it's a large island, but still, you're on an island.
Yeah, they killed the last wolf there. But where they killed the last wolf was in the county south of Suffolk. Okay, so the last place in England they saw wolves was that side. That
kind of area, yeah.
So if this could also have been local people's telling their kids, like, don't go out at night.
Yes.
Because literally there's a wolf out there who will eat you. That has transformed into
this dog.
Or people saw remnants of the last of the wolves.
Yep.
And then...
No, very well. Yeah. Crazy. But yeah, that was one I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, I don't think I knew that's the name.
Yep,
I've heard
Black
of
Shuck.
that, the legend kind of thing, but not the name.
Well, now you know.
The more you know.
Right.
Well, something I've heard a lot about, but still had a lot of interest. So I've never dove super into the legend. So this was a fun exercise. I just know a lot about it. General stuff. And it's the Mothman.
This is a good one. Yeah, this is a good one. This is one that is close enough to where I grew up that once we were old enough to hear about this, you're like, never going there ever.
Right.
Because it's like, this is, and I know
lots of layers to this too.
There are so many freaking layers. Again, this is the same. I hold the principle with this one as I do with ghosts and like Ouija boards and everything like that. Whether or not I believe in it or not, don't care.
Just err on the side of caution.
I am not messing with it. Like, just no. Like, whenever people, like, teenager growing up.
That's how I feel about Ouija boards.
Yeah, why?
I'm not sure I believe in them or not.
I'm just not. I
definitely will never. Just
no. And this is the same thing with going to this town and like, no, I'm fine.
Well, let's dive in. Okay, so this is actually a relatively recent cryptid as far as cryptids go, because this all started in the 1960s. So Point Pleasant, West Virginia, in between PA and Ohio. These sightings started to happen. So first let me describe what people were seeing, and then we'll talk about the sightings themselves. So Mothman is described as a 6 to 7 foot tall creature, humanoid in shape, giant bright red eyes, a 10-foot wingspan, and basically described as like a man but with wings.
Yep.
Which is really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Really creepy because the Mothman makes you think a giant moth.
No.
Kind of. But, like, this is just a dude with wings.
Yes.
Which is really creepy. And it's also described as being a clumsy runner, but a good flyer.
I mean, to be fair, if it was real.
I've seen it do both.
Yeah, but to be fair, if it is adapted to flying, it doesn't really need to run well.
Right. But I guess makes it then more adapted to aerial life than... So yes, humanoid, but not human, because humans are good runners. So... On November 12th, 1966.
I'm already getting, like, heebie-jeebies, but continue. I'm just gonna...
Well, because there's just so much information, too. I had to dig
There's a
through
lot.
website.
There is so much on the Mothman.
So, grave diggers... Also, like, I love that this is starting off with
grave diggers, yeah.
Grave diggers looked up to see a brown human being soaring from tree to tree above them.
F no.
Which, again, I would... die of a heart attack if I saw.
You're a grave digger, first of all. You're already freaked out. Senses are on high alert. And
then you see some giant humanoid creature soaring from tree to tree.
I would put down my shovel and I would just calmly walk away and be like, this is my resignation. I'm done.
3 days later, this is the big one. This is where it all started in the news because those guys didn't report anything, I guess, until later.
Yeah.
So on November 15th of 1966, 4 people were driving on Route 62 near the National Guard Armory building and the power. This area, I dug much more into it. It's called the TNT area. So back in World War II, this area was a munitions depot. Like they made munitions for World War II. So they made TNT and they made some other things there. And so there's all these underground bunkers that are kind of being reclaimed by nature, and like the whole place is being reclaimed by nature. But that there is talk that either there are still things stored there, or at the very least that a lot of these materials are toxic and seeping back into the land. So it's already like a creepy place.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Old World War II munitions bunkers.
Yeah, right.
So that's where they're driving by. And Linda Scarberry, one of the women who was in the car, described seeing a slender, muscular man about 7 feet tall with white wings, which the whole colors are always changing with moths.
Yes, yeah.
But tall with white wings, and then said she was unable to discern its face due to the hypnotic effect of its eyes. Distressed, the witnesses drove away at speed and said that the creature flew after their car, making a screeching sound. It pursued them as far as Point Pleasant city limits. And they were going 100 miles per hour because they were terrified.
Yeah.
And they said it was keeping up with them. So they were saying it was flying like 100 miles per hour. There were 8 more sightings over the next several days. 2 were volunteer firefighters who saw a bird with large red eyes, like a giant bird with large red eyes. Another guy in a nearby town saw weird patterns on his TV and heard noises outside. When he went out with a flashlight, he saw 2 large red eyes that resembled bicycle reflectors, and his German Shepherd ran into the woods after them, and his dog was never seen. He never found his dog again. He just found paw prints going around in circles and then gone. Then nothing. No footprints leading away or there. Just gone dog.
Nope.
That's
nope.
also when I would move.
Yeah. Just nope. Nope.
Then
you're on the border of West Virginia and Ohio. There's about 100,000 other places I would rather move to. I'd be okay leaving.
So then just more and more sightings. So there was like this frenzy of sightings in 1966. Then in 1967, so almost, it's actually a year to the day.
Yep.
Okay. That these first people, not the grave diggers, but the newspaper people saw November 15th. On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed in Point Pleasant. This bridge was built back in 1928 for much lighter cars. The cars at the time were about 1,500 pounds, and then the average weight of a car in the 60s was 4,000 pounds. So, like,
Way
3
heavier.
times as heavy
Yeah.
as what that bridge was built for. And traffic was really heavy on the bridge that day. And because that bridge was built for lighter cars, they had built no redundancy into that bridge. And redundancy is like a fail-safe. So
Yep.
let's say now when you build bridges, if one part cracks, the entire bridge doesn't collapse because they've built in extra stops. But at the time, they didn't do that. So one piece snapped on the Ohio side of the bridge, and the entire bridge fell apart within moments, plunging all of the cars and people into the ice-cold river.
Yeah.
46 people were drowned or were crushed by the bridge. So many.
Yeah.
So many.
46 people. That's just, it's so sad.
And so...
Also one of my biggest fears.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
In a car.
For sure.
I actually
Definitely.
I
have had nightmares about that.
Well, I have one of those car window breaker thingies that are like in my car's like door that I actually have Velcroed to like the inside of the door. You know what I mean? That like, it's like a little
It's
hammer.
smart. Yeah, it's like because that's definitely a huge fear of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Some people believe, now where does this connect with Mothman? Some people believe that the Mothman was either responsible for this or was the harbinger of doom, very much like the Black Shuck.
Because wasn't he spotted near the,
he was, I mean, depending on who you say.
Yeah.
Who says, it's just so, a lot of people were like, listen, this happened a year to the day, and all of a sudden, most sightings of Mothman stopped after that day.
Yeah.
So it was like,
that was like
there,
the final capstone.
And then he was gone.
Because I read a lot of reports that said that like they saw him like nearby, then after that big mass death, gone. Just like nothing.
Yeah. And so in 1975, a nonfiction, in air quotes, because I think this very much depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
The nonfiction book, Mothman Prophecies, came out. And so the author of that connected the dots between Mothman and what happened on that bridge.
Yep.
Then he also talked about how there's lots of other weird things about what could have been going on, that people in the area were having, precognition, like people were seeing what was going to happen ahead of time, all this stuff. In 1999, there were actually sightings in Moscow of a similar creature, and later that year there were apartment building bombings. So those people connected the dots there, saying, again, look what's happened, this thing shows up, and then a bunch of people die. And then in 2016, in Point Pleasant, a man saw a large creature jumping from tree to tree, and he snapped pictures, and you guys can see the pictures online.
Yep.
They are pretty freaky, but
Yep.
most people think it's just an owl carrying a snake. But he's like, no freaking way, that's not what I saw. And then in 2019, there was actually there was hundreds of reports made during that year in Point Pleasant. There was like 50-something people in total who said that they saw him in Chicago in 2019. So he's still around, possibly, just in different places. Is it the same creature? Is it different creatures? Are there more of them? And if you want to know more, there is a Mothman museum with all the police reports and witness accounts located in Point Pleasant, and they have a Mothman festival every year. It's very much a culture and part of the town, and it's great for them for tourism and things like that. And it really hit the national stage in 2002 when they made a film out of it, which is what I saw as a kid. I was
Mothman
12,
Prophecies,
12, and I was like, this is it. It was with Richard Gere, and it was terrifying.
Yeah, it is creepy.
Even though you only see the monster once.
Yep.
It's more about
it's the idea of it.
Mind. Yeah. It's like a whole mind blow thing. So what's actually going on? Okay, I'm going to start with, do you want me to start most likely or least likely?
Oh, go ahead. Do least likely first.
Okay, least likely. Okay. Military experiment. If it was in the area of this munitions factory, what
was
else
it? Yeah, was it really an ammunition factory or not?
So, military experiment gone wrong. Of course, we're going aliens, okay? Because the guy in the Mothman Prophecies ties this to, that guy saw weird patterns on his TV happening. There were visits from Men in Black at the time to this town.
Of course there were.
These sightings. So, was it because they knew it was something? Was it not because they knew it was something? It would explain all the precognitions that people had. It would explain the weird, it would explain a lot if it was an alien.
Let's just take it as an alien, because that'll help.
A barred owl. Some people are like, it's just an owl, because that would explain the red eyes, like because of the eye shine.
True.
I don't know, man. That's a big stretch.
Yeah.
You'd have to be really wasted to think a barred
owl.
Had a 10-foot wingspan.
Yeah. And I know people exaggerate, but that's a bit much.
Big one. Also, most people in the area are probably familiar with barred owls.
Yeah, or at least just owls in general, you know?
Yeah. It very much resembles what they consider a demon archetype that people see during sleep paralysis. A lot of people describe a very similar creature that they see during sleep paralysis, which means that image is somewhere in the human subconscious.
Well, I think that it's a fear of the unknown. Something that is human-like enough, because we know humans, like, nothing is scarier than a human, because we're evil. Like, we can be evil. And so
bad things.
Yes.
And we know it. Yeah. And nocturnal, nighttime.
Yes. Yeah.
Always scary.
Yeah.
The red eyes, like all of that. And so is this just an unconscious fear that so when people panic, is this just an image that they're projecting when they're seeing animals, random animal encounters, that this is what I'm seeing? There was definitely a guy at the time, whether or not it was the first time, there was a report of a local man that hid in a Halloween costume, and he was hiding in those bunkers.
Do you want to die? Like,
right?
Because, okay, pause. It is West Virginia. I'm sorry. I know I live in Texas.
Exact same thing.
But again, having grown up on the border, yes. Gosh.
Because that's definitely what, like, when this was going down, people were arming themselves with guns.
I would too.
Away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that guy was hiding in the bunkers. And so maybe that was the first sighting, and then people panicked and saw it everywhere.
Yeah.
Who knows? But, okay, I think, in my opinion, most plausible, if we're going not supernatural or anything at all, because, dude, like, it definitely, like, even if it was, like, the angel of death, you know, like, whatever. But actually explainable, sandhill crane, which I've never heard this, but I'm like, okay, so a WVU professor of biology thinks that it could have been a sandhill crane. These birds are about as tall.
First of all, this poor sandhill crane, you know what I mean? Like, before the bridge. And he has no idea.
Terror.
He just, and he's just like a little lost, just like moseying his way, and he's just like lands on this bridge because he's like, this is a safe place. Next thing you know, the whole thing collapses. He kills 46 people, and he's like, oh my goodness, it was the bird that broke the bridge. And he's just like minding his own business. He's just like trying to figure out how to get back and just causing chaos.
I wasn't even thinking it was the bridge. I was mostly thinking that first encounter where they're like, we heard a loud screeching. Like, he was just freaking out because they're like, ah! And he's like, ah! You know? Yeah. So, sandhill cranes are about as tall as a person. So,
they are
they're
huge.
Not 7 to 8, but they are tall.
Yeah. Well, and as tall as a person. Okay, so if it's a tall person, easily 6 foot. Yeah. Add fear on top of that. You can easily get to 7. Yeah, at night. Easily get to 7, 8 feet tall. Definitely. No problem.
They have a 7-foot wingspan, which is substantial.
Yeah.
I can see, again, people exaggerating 7 to 10.
Yeah, and easily.
It has bright red color all around its eyes. Okay? Yeah. So its eyeballs themselves, but their eyeballs are very tiny. Yeah. It's really the red you would see all around their eyes. They do migrate through neighboring Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee, so they are right next door.
Yeah, it wouldn't take much for a strong storm to just kind of blow them off course. Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't know where they're getting this 100-mile-an-hour from, but because a sandhill crane flies 25 to 35 miles per hour, which is fast, but no,
but
100
still,
miles an hour. Some people, though, are like, well, maybe it was deformed. You know, if it was weirdly blown off course and living in the area or was born in the area, where
just lost.
And there was toxic chemicals in the environment, maybe it did something to it. And even if it didn't, it's a bird that is not normally from the area, and so most people would have no idea
clue.
what they were looking at.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to be
At
fair,
night.
yeah, most people
And,
have
like, yeah.
most people have no idea. You know, they see a red-tailed hawk, and how many times do we hear, I saw a bald eagle. No, you didn't. You saw a red-tailed hawk. Oh,
But
no,
yeah,
it's a
you
bald
see
eagle.
A person-sized bird, and
Uh-huh.
then, you know,
And you've
it
never
describes
seen
a
it
lot of
before. It
Like,
does.
slender, red eyes, tall, big wingspan. Most people describe him as bird-looking.
I just like to go with the theory that, yes, it was a sandhill crane that was just blown off course a little bit, and he's just trying to live, and just all this chaos is just following. You know, that would actually make
screams every time they see him.
That would actually make a really cute, like, kids' Halloween book. I'm just saying. Just like this poor, like...
Sammy the Sandhill Crane.
Yeah,
AKA
just...
Mothman.
Yeah, just like this poor bird that's just trying to live and survive, and just a black cat, as you would, you know, just... poor bird.
So I'm willing to believe that that's what it was in the 60s.
That makes sense.
I don't know what it's been everywhere else. If it, you know,
Well, I mean, the other locations that you said, you know, where it's been spotted, that also, you know, not...
Chicago for sure. Is
Yes.
actually, like, that's
in
really
their
possible.
range.
Mothman,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
But,
really
yeah,
lost.
I don't know about the whole aliens thing or, like, the precognition or anything like that. It's too creepy for me. I wouldn't mind visiting Point Pleasant and going to the festival. I think that'd be a blast. Because to me, it's not the town. It's seeing that. It's like seeing the shuck.
The
Like,
thing.
if I just saw Mothman, I would die. But, yeah. So... that's Mothman. If you want to know more about it, there's tons out there.
There's
You can
so
read the
much.
book, Mothman
Yeah.
Prophecies.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like, I've never actually read the book.
But now I kind of want to.
Me too. Yeah.
Although I probably will have nightmares.
Oh,
because, like, he is connecting those dots that it is.
Yeah. Of just
True.
feeding in your paranoia anyway.
You're like, yeah, this is plausible.
I'm gonna
Especially
die.
now that the government said there are aliens.
Yeah, right?
Like, I knew it.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, I'm not going to
I
sleep
also
tonight.
like that your first thought. Okay. Also, Katie, just like as Christians, that if a person saw a slender humanoid person with large white wings, your first thing is absolute terror. Not like that would be my reaction too. If I ever saw what like actually describes an angel. No,
right?
No.
Yeah, forget Mary in the Bible. I would have been crapping my pants the second something showed up.
That's what that
is not
describing it like.
Dude, that again, another idea for a book. The real story of the Bible. Like, how would people actually react to these situations? And that would be one of them. Like, an angel appears, craps the pants, runs away, just sheer terror.
Freaking out. They'd have to calm me down enough to be able to tell me what they want.
Yeah,
but
slap
then,
across the face.
just,
Calm down.
Down. Yeah. I just like that. Yeah, that this is like, everyone was like, a slender human with large white wings. Let's get the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
Run for dear life. Meanwhile, it's like, again, not a sandhill crane. It is an angel just trying to warn these people. You know, this fallen angel who's come to earth.
For a whole year.
He's like trying to warn people of all these bad things that are happening.
Your bridge structure is bad.
Yeah. And he's like, he's standing there telling people like, don't go. And meanwhile, you know, they're all coming out and it just collapses. They see him there. So then they just attribute him being the bad luck symbol, and he's, you know, just trying to warn people, like, but everyone
the angel that nobody listened to,
right? That everyone's just freaking out about.
Oh, yeah,
that would be funny.
We love U.S. I love U.S. Virginia, so
the country's gorgeous, for sure. I mean, there's very few places. I mean, I grew up, you know, in college and then post-college and stuff, hiking and everything through there. And it is gorgeous country to go hiking in.
If I wasn't going to live in Maryland or Pennsylvania, it'd definitely be West Virginia.
Dude, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's
not
like...
for me for career. But like, I mean, if I wanted to work in like parks or something.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well...
Yep, that's it. What's your last one?
The Jersey Devil.
Okay, cool. I don't know anything about this, but I've heard the name many times.
Me too. Hockey team. And had no idea that this was a thing, that this is where all of that kind of came from. Because you hear about, the Jersey Devil. Had no clue. All right, so the Jersey Devil is one of the most famous and enduring legends in American folklore. The legend dates back to the early 18th century when the Leeds, Leeds, family of southern New Jersey was rumored to have given birth to a monstrous child that had wings and the head of a horse.
Oh, wait. Whoa,
Yep.
I was starting to freak out at the wings. The head of a what?
Horse. You heard me right.
A horse.
Yeah.
A horse's head and wings.
Uh-huh. If you look up the picture of this thing, it's like almost Greek mythology looking.
Like a minotaur kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Jersey Devil. You keep going. Also, many things. Keep going.
Yeah, just the Jersey Devil, not the New Jersey Devil. Okie dokie. The mother was said to have cursed the child, which then transformed into the Jersey Devil and disappeared into the wilderness. While the exact origins of the legend are unclear, like in reality, not the actual just stories of people, it has been suggested that it may have been inspired by local folklore and superstitions as well as by accounts of other mythical creatures from around the world.
Yeah, because this just looks like the image of Satan.
Well, a Satan, but also like, I don't know. To me, it's like it looks more like Greek mythology than some, because a lot of the mythology that we have here, or a lot of the cryptids and things
with us from Europe.
Yeah, we brought from Europe, but a lot of the ones that we have here in the U.S. aren't this like. It's not the combined creatureness as much as what this is. Like this is kind of
this is just it literally
Greek mythology.
Yeah, it's very much like the goat-headed Satan picture, but instead of a goat, it's a horse head.
Yeah. So the location of the legend is primary in the Pines Barren of southern New Jersey. The area is called Pine Barrens, which covers over 1 million acres of dense forest, swamp, and sandy beaches. The area has long been a center of folklore and superstition with tale of ghosts, witches, and other supernatural creatures dating back centuries. Again, creepy, dense swamp, woods.
Dark forest. People have always been scared of dark and deep forest.
Yep, because it's that unknown fear. So the legend of the Jersey Devil is one of the most famous of these tales that have come out of this area and has been passed down through generations of local residents and visitors to the area. Over the years, there have been numerous firsthand accounts of seeing the Jersey Devil. One of the most famous sightings occurred in 1909 when multiple people reported seeing the creature flying over the town of Woodbury, New Jersey.
I would die again. Yeah.
Yeah. Other sightings describe the creature as a bipedal creature with wings, hooves, and a long pointed tail. Many of these sightings occurred in the early morning hours or during periods of low light, which has led to some to suggest that the sightings may be the result of misidentification of common animals or exaggerations of natural phenomenon.
I'm trying to think of what common animal makes that combination. I mean, it's a horse, but the wings part?
That maybe, I'm trying to think of besides an owl. Right. Like, what else could it be carrying? What else could it be?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Despite numerous sightings and reports over the years, there is no concrete evidence that the Jersey Devil exists. Skeptics argue that the sightings are simply the result of hoaxes, misidentifications, and more exaggerations, such as large birds or owls, that people are just like, just see it and freak out because it's so creepy. However, there are those who believe the legendary the Jersey Devil has some basis in reality. Some historians have suggested that the legends may have been inspired by the presence of wildcats or other large predators in the area. So it kind of, not so much like the horse part, but again, it like started there. And then let's say, like, they said something about, oh, I saw this really creepy creature in the forest, and it could be a large predator, and then they talked to somebody else about it, and they're like, oh my God, I saw something too in that forest, and it was flying. Next thing you know, we have a flying creature in our hands because they just start, you know, it's the game of telephone, you know, the real life game of telephone situation here. So in addition to tales of sightings, the legend of the Jersey Devil has also inspired numerous works of art and literature over the years. The creature has appeared in everything from local folk songs, horror movies. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in the legend, with, again, people are just like celebrating the Jersey Devil, and we have the hockey team. And so the state has kind of like embraced the legend instead of I mean, it's one of those things, again, I don't know. I don't know if it's just humans' nature to
that it's become fun
monetize.
rather
Than like scary, but also like, hey, let's monetize this thing.
Well, I was also reading a thing about how in the last 20 years we've had a cryptid renaissance, they've called it, because
Cryptid renaissance.
Because
all
so
these
many more people
cryptids
are
are
into it.
But also all these cryptids are like, finally, it's my time to shine.
Yeah. But that this seems to be a thing that happens in history when there are really bad times and people are looking for something more out there.
Like freaking aliens, but nobody is focusing on the aliens, man.
That we are absolutely ready for the Jersey Devil to be our problem and not, like, the failing of the economy. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
all these banks and everything.
We want Jersey Devil, we want Bigfoot. Those are problems we can deal with.
Yeah, right. But
maybe even be our friend, who knows?
Yeah. Just holding out hope of this problem.
Yeah, I really wonder I feel like you could figure this out. Has anybody asked the Leeds family? There's got to be the Leeds family still around. Like, hey, a long time ago, anybody in your family get born really weird?
Yeah.
Maybe not with wings and a horse head, but like...
Can we just genetically test you real quick? Just give us some of your
blood. You guys got some weird stuff going on. There's no rumors of, like, a cousin that got born with, like, freaky shoulder blades or...
Right. So, just...
If I thought my neighbor had given birth... Okay, this is when? This is the 1700s? If I thought my neighbor gave birth to a creature with wings and a horse's head...
Yeah, it was...
That lady has made a pact with the devil.
Right? Yeah, it was 1735. Yeah. So some more. So I just hurried up and pulled up some stuff like where I got this all from. So it was her 13th child, which also adds on a layer, of course. And
but also think how old she. I mean, legitimately, she might have had a genetic 13th kid.
So her name was after freaking 13 kids.
Well,
one's about
how old she was. By then.
But also one's about. You know, you never, just the probability of things, like, who knows? So her name was Jane Leeds. They called her.
Right. How do we not know? How does somebody is related to this woman?
I mean, but how else would you prove? Stories? Oh, I'm sure it's just the same thing as what's already out there.
No, actually, my great-great-great-great-grandma did give birth to the Jersey Devil. Or, no. She actually gave birth to, like,
so
I don't even know. Something deformed.
She had 12 kids, and then whenever she was pregnant with this 13th child, in utero, she cursed it because she was just she was just bitter about
She was just
to be fair, if I had 12 kids in 1735, I'd be
blame the poor kid.
I know,
your husband.
Right? Keep it in your pants.
Yeah,
I would be.
Poor kid. And also, why would you wish that on yourself? Do you know what it would be like to give birth to something with a horse's head and wings?
So it says that she was in labor on a stormy night, also, another layer, and her friends were all around her. It was at first born as a normal child. So it was at first, but then it slowly changed.
Chuck that thing right in the fire.
Yeah, right. It changed into a creature with hooves, a goat's head. So some say goat, some say horse. Bat wings and a forked tail, or a long pointy tail.
She was doing it with Satan.
Growling.
Like, if I was the neighbor, I'd have been like.
It was growling and screaming. The child beat everyone with its tail before flying up the chimney and heading into the pines. In some versions of the tale, Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch. They all thought she was a witch anyway.
Well, right.
And they thought that the child's father was, in fact, the devil himself.
Satan.
Which, again, to give birth to, let's just say if it was some deformity and that they didn't know about, they'd be like, nope, can't do it.
Yep, she's been spending too much time in the woods naked lately.
Right.
Like, it's...
So some people also refer to it as the Leeds devil or the devil of Leeds.
Wow. Also, can you imagine that being your family legacy? Pretty cool, though.
So there's some discrepancy on the name, which gives like their ancestry then figuring out hard. So some say it was Jane Leeds. Other people say it was Deborah Leeds, on grounds that Deborah Leeds' husband, Japhet Leeds, named 12 children in the will he wrote during 1936, which is compatible with the legend. Deborah and Japhet Leeds also lived in the Leeds Point section, which is now Atlantic County, New Jersey, which is thought to be the area where this all started.
Wait, but did you just say 1936? He left it in the will?
Sorry, 1736 now.
Oh, okay.
1730s.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, and so there have been, yeah, the 13th kid flew away. Even he gave birth. He's like, there's 12 other kids. I'm out. Like, he didn't want to do it. He's just like, peace,
I don't want to share with all
peace
those
out.
kids.
So interesting enough, so there are like some other things that connected to this Leeds family that kind of gave it some prominence over, I would say, other like local folklore or just folklore in general. Is that there were like some involvement with New Jersey politicians, one being none other than Benjamin Franklin, and Franklin's rival almanac publisher Daniel Leeds resulted in the Leeds family being described as quote-unquote monsters, and it was Daniel Leeds' negative description as the Leeds Devil rather than actual creature that created the legend of the New Jersey Devil. So there's also so
his own family, he did it to his own family, you're saying?
Like
that guy. Leeds, the Leeds guy.
They're saying that Benjamin Franklin didn't like this Daniel Leeds guy, and this was around, this Leeds guy died in 1720. So because he didn't like this guy, his family, or anything, Benjamin Franklin, prominent politician, started calling the whole family monsters. And again, then that kind of maybe it piggyback off of,
dang,
you know what I mean?
Dirty Ben Franklin.
Right. Jeez, Ben Franklin.
Jeez.
So anyway, so there's tons of different like shoot-offs of the story, shoot-offs of origin story.
Yeah, there'll never be an answer for this one.
No, but it is all kinds of just craziness about Benjamin Franklin, how he ties into this whole thing. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stories out there. And this one isn't as layered as the Mothman, but it definitely has, I don't know, just like a wild multi-layers of origin, where it could have come from. And then again, there was other sightings. That was in the early 1700s. There was another wave of sightings in 1909, like I said, in January. Again, it was New Jersey, Philadelphia area, where they saw a bunch of new sightings. And so that kind of like kicked all the legends up again. So yeah, so if you really want to kind of dive into one, I mean, that's sort of why I knew about this one. I didn't remember the name. Like, I knew about it for like the, New Jersey Devils and things like that. But there was an X-Files episode on it. So that's, where I knew it from. Middle school Katy, X-File extraordinaire. But again, there's so many different depictions and stories of this one. But yeah, if you guys really want to do a dive into just some crazy history origin stories, this one's a really interesting one to
wild.
dive into. But yeah. Crazy, creepy babies, maybe. Well, that's all we have, guys. So if you want to go ahead and reach out to us on Twitter, give us a follow there. Check out our Patreon page. Just search for us on For the Love of Nature. You can find and support us there so we can keep bringing you content week after week.
Yep. Now that you know more than you wanted to know, your curiosity should be piqued, and hopefully you care just a little bit more. Talk to you next week.
Bye.